Hello, I'm Danny, and this thing right here is the Xbloom coffee machine, and it's basically one of the most high-tech and interesting coffee machines on the market today that does basically automated pour over with pods. So I'm going to tell you all about it today. While Xbloom did send me 2 of these machines to keep and check out, no money has actually exchanged hands between me and them, and I've worked extensively with Xbloom to give you an accurate and completely honest review of this machine, so you can decide if it fits your morning routine or not. Over the last couple years, I've learned there's 2 things that are really important to coffee. One of them is to use fresh beans, and the other is to do things consistently. The problem is, in the morning I'm in a rush, and I don't really care about dialing machines early in the morning, and so I get inconsistent results all over the place. And it gets super complex, super fast with all the different variables. That's where the Xbloom comes in. Its superpower is basically that it's able to repeat a lot of variables from temperature to grind size to the duration of the pour and agitation, all inside of this machine consistently so that you don't have to think about it. It's kind of like having a little barista in your kitchen that makes the coffee for you in the morning, except it's not a real barista, it's a machine. Hey Mochi, hey Mochi. So I've got a custom cup here of Joe coffee. So all you'd have to do in the morning is you just wake up, you'd scan the RFID there, and then it kind of gives you like a landing strip light for where to put the beans, and like listen to this. This is a good noise. There's your 15 grams of coffee in there. It's beautiful. Smells fresh, and they do roast them fresh. So here we go. Whee! Whoops, I missed a bean, but that's fine. You just stick it in here. You can use either your phone or just the machine. You just tap. And it's got pretty much zero retention. You can hear that it's still grinding to make sure all the beans got through, so you're not getting like old beans in your next cup. And there it goes. You're gonna see the water come out. The water can come out in different steps. It's doing I think this is called either the circular or the spiral. I think that's the spiral maybe. The amazing thing is that the water thing here, it's like actually, there's no like moving part making that water. It's some sort of it's their solid state thing that I think deals with like water charges or something, and I don't understand the science, but there's no moving parts for that water, which is kind of like magic. And there's the little agitation. It is kind of cool like how everything works in like a little symphony together to like create this cup, like all the little components in this one package. I've noticed there are like 3 holes in the bottom of these pods, but it always just seems to want to leak out of just one of them. And I don't think that matters really, but it's just something I've noticed. Just look at that yummy bean juice. It is pretty much idiot-proof at this stage. If you just use the pods, you'll probably never have to worry about like messing anything up, which is kind of the great thing. It should give a little beep when it's done. Beep, it's done. That's good. It's a pretty damn good cup of coffee. Like on average, I will say like the coffee I brew at home through my coffee brewer is usually a little bit under extracted, a little more sour tasting, and this is pretty much spot on. I really like the small footprint of this machine. It's kind of on par with, your normal coffee brewer where you have the water basket up on top. And the fact that it has the 48mm burr grinder inside of it is actually a pretty good space-saving feature. Though it is kind of tall, so you may not be able to stick it under your cabinets. And as a result, it holds about 700 milliliters of water back here. Thankfully, you can take this out. I found that it does at most about 2, maybe 3 cups of coffee at a time before you have to refill it, which could be kind of annoying. I've been pretty impressed with the ecosystem that Xbloom's been developing. It's kind of amazing how many roasters have actually signed on to like roast beans so that they can be used in these pods. And what's actually really incredible about it is that each roaster actually like curates how this machine is supposed to agitate it at what temperature and the exact pour method that would bring the best extraction out of those beans. And because of the machine's ability to be consistent, you could switch from Stumptown to Joe Coffee here and have a completely unique experience, but one that's been set up so that it's absolutely perfect out of the box. Now, if you've looked at this machine closely, you'll notice there's like no buttons on it. There's one button, but everything else you actually have to do in the app. And I actually kind of really don't like using apps for coffee machines in the morning. Like, yes, I'm on my phone checking Instagram, but I'm usually not like wanting to operate an app. Personal preference. But in general, I find like using the app on this thing, while it totally works, it's a little weird opening it up because the first thing you see is just kind of like an advertisement for more pods and like what's going on in the community. And the only reason you really want to go in the app is to actually like customize stuff on the machine for the pour. So what I found out you have to do is quick edit, and you can up the ratio of water. It doesn't tell you how much more water you're adding. You have to determine that from like looking at the milliliters and stuff. But it's just not like the most intuitive way of adding a little more water when I just want a little bit more bean juice. I wish there was like a button on the machine or just something in the app where I could just like actuate like an ounce more of water just to give me a little bit more. I just want a little more coffee. With that though, in the app, there is an absolute plethora of customization you can do. Moochie. So if you want to do your own beans, this is the little custom bean holder. I have a Kalita 155 filter in here that I've wet down. All you would do is you would scan it. Oh, it's low on water. Nothing better I love in the morning than refilling my coffee machine with water. All you do is you just scan it up top. I made a custom profile that it should default to. Yep, Danny Pops 1. I have a custom profile here. Boop. You can also hit start in the machine if you want, either way. Need that. Need the coffee cup. This is my own custom Danny Pops brew. We're just drinking coffee today. I probably had like 5 cups already, so I'm a little anxious right now. Let's see how the Danny Pops brew tastes. Tastes delicious. Immediately tastes delicious, actually. You will need a rag under here, by the way. Just you probably will always need a rag, or that, or you. Here, this is how I'd probably suggest doing it in the morning. So you get your coffee, and then you just quickly throw it away. Boop. And wash this. This thing get gross. One thing about this machine I found a little weird and kind of tricked me up at first. I was trying to find like a way to pause the machine, and it turns out there is kind of a pause button on it. It's in the back and it's called the button. The thing is, it's the only real like button on the machine aside from touching this down when you want to brew. And if you tap it once, it'll pause. It also does a bunch of other things, but you're gonna have to go to the manual to figure it out because depending on whether you're pressing it for 5 seconds or for 5 times quickly, it's gonna like turn on and off the Wi-Fi. And if you hold it, it'll like turn on the Bluetooth pairing mode. It's one button and it's a little confusing because it's just one button and depends on how you press it. So overall, I actually think the Xbloom is definitely like a superior coffee experience to other machines. I think the crown jewels of it, honestly, is just how like over-engineered this thing is. It's actually really heavy, and everything from the solid aluminum base that's milled to the different components kind of overlapping each other in this Bauhaus-esque design, I think are absolutely stunning. If you're the kind of person that wants really, really good coffee with the convenience of a pod, this is kind of the machine to go for if you don't like to fuss with dialing everything in. However, it does come at a pretty dang steep price. This thing is expensive. It's not cheap. But also, I just don't think there's really anything else that does this on the market. So it's kind of like, this machine could actually be a very good buy if you're into doing custom beans. And if you were to do that over time with your own beans, this machine could actually be fairly economical versus buying the pods each time. What's great about it is you can kind of come in not knowing anything, buying these pods and kind of getting the custom curated experience, and then you can sort of dial it down to your own custom experience the more experienced you get. I've been saying experience a lot. Experience this thing. This is probably just the first step in Xbloom's coffee creation experience, and I kind of feel like there's going to be a lot more coming down the pipeline. From what I've gathered from them, they're very eager to like reinvent the coffee world, and that is very refreshing, and that's a good thing for our community. So overall, I think the Xbloom is a very interesting entry into our coffee world, but yes, it is a very steep price of entry for this machine. And I'd be curious what you think about how it might work in your morning routine. What do you think about this thing? If you like this review, please give this a thumbs up, subscribe, or utilize the affiliate link below that I may get a small commission on to help the channel. And if you've made it this far in the video, you get a little Xbloom coffee star right there. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.